Welcome to Don't Be Boring Estate Planning Marketing, the show about how estate planning attorneys attract better clients, stand out, and grow with clear, personality-driven marketing. This podcast is sponsored by Don't Be Boring Agency, where we help service businesses and nonprofits stop blending in and start getting chosen. You can score your website at estateplanningmarketer.com and your brand at don'tbeboringagency.com. Today's guest is Ron Suggs. Ron, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh.
So, quick one to start. This is a non-work related question. Are you reading anything right now?
I am reading a few things. I have a few books on my desk when I have time to get to them. So a little bit of World War II history. I'm trying to find some more to read about like the Revolution time period, just like the American Revolution, just a little bit of an escape to get away from the day-to-day stuff and remember how things were.
What's the draw to that? Do you have a family connection? Or
We do, yeah, probably several. I mean, like I had grandfathers who served in the military. My wife had a grandfather who was actually in the Bataan Death March, and so
wow.
yeah, kind of going back in time to see what it would be like for them is interesting.
I've dabbled in some World War II history, and most personally through my grandfather who served in Italy and France. And so my dad interviewed him and I transcribed it once. It was like tapes that I transcribed. And so I got kind of an intimate look at what he went through.
My grandfather was one of them. He was a bombardier in B-24s, over Italy and Europe. And he passed away a few months before I was born. So I didn't get a chance to have those stories or talk to him about it. So that's the one book I'm reading. It is about kind of like the people who were on the bombers and just what that experience was like. So I get to share those stories a little bit that I didn't have a chance to do with them.
Yeah, very nice. Cool. So switching back to work now, you're an estate planning attorney, and attorneys don't just become attorneys. There's a story behind it. So take us back to the beginning. I'm curious where you're from and what life was like before law school. What did you do? And
I was born and raised in California, mostly Bay Area, and ended up getting married and started having kids. And so before our first was born, we decided, hey, we're going to move to Colorado, have a little bit of space and, not have so much of a commute for work. And so we ended up spending 10 years there. And I did a bunch of things. I did technology sales. I did investment guidance. So basically, I worked for a mutual fund company and helped people decide what they're going to invest in or rolling 401ks into IRAs. But something that was kind of sticking around in the back of my mind for a long time was I wanted help with adoptions. And so I think a big catalyst for me was we had a friend from college. After school, our friend ended up going overseas, and she was there for about a year and met a family, met a mom, and she had a little boy, and the mom had AIDS. And so as she got to know the family, eventually kind of mom's health was declining, ended up passing away. And so now there's this little boy who needs a family, and she was there. And so just kind of followed her call and said, hey, I can be mom, and kind of picked him up and took him wherever she went and kind of became mom over time and decided, hey, it's, why not make it permanent? Why not adopt them and bring them home? Everyone's on board with it. And so just watching what she went through for that, adoption's not easy, right? Like there's a lot of steps that go into it, a lot of red tape and hoops to jump through. And so I think that's what didn't make sense to me is we have little boy who wants family who wants little boy. Why aren't we making this easy? And so with the technology sales, the investment guidance I was doing, I'm basically a problem solver, right? We're trying to figure out what someone wants to do and can we make that easier? So I kind of took that on and said, hey, how could we make adoption easier for people? And there's any number of ways that we could help. We kind of settled on helping financially. Because it costs a lot of money to do those things. And we sat down one day just to write down all the expenses that our friend had. And sure enough, the attorney's fees was the highest thing on the list. And then I remember saying it out loud, hey, why don't I just go to law school? And that's how we can help people with that legal process. Not really knowing what law school entailed. And so we were in Colorado at this point. So it was kind of kicking around in the back of my mind. over time. And we ended up deciding, hey, we're going to move back to California. And that kind of opened up doors. So like now I had a law school that I could go to. And so I ended up, talking to people and people who had went to McGeorge down in Sacramento and actually went to the school to go check it out and just kind of started taking steps to make that happen. Not really thinking about all the implications of it, but
Yeah.
ended up applying to McGeorge and getting in, and they had an evening program. So that fit really well with my schedule. My plan was, hey, I'm going to work during the day and then I'll go to class, a couple nights a week, get this law degree. And can start doing some adoptions. And law school's not that easy. So apparently in law school you have to study and do homework a lot. We had 4 kids by this point. So we already had
Wow.
kind of family, and so that the time was really hard. So I had
Yeah.
to kind of think about my time in law school. I'm thinking, hey, if I'm going through all this law school stuff, it doesn't make sense to not be an attorney, and just do something else and stick with like the technology sales. And so I figured, like, hey, if I'm going to be an attorney, what's the next problem is, well, like to be an attorney, law firms make you work a lot, right? Like they're going to make you work 100 hours a week. And I didn't want to do that because that didn't fit with, spending time with the family. So I was going to continue to not see the family if I did that. So I decided pretty early on, hey, a solution for that is I'm going to start my own firm, and we can kind of do what we want and figure out what we're going to do in that law firm. And my next problem was, well, what are we going to do in this law firm? Because there's a lot of things in law that I don't like, I don't want to do. Like, so we don't do divorces and we don't do personal injury law or, criminal defense trials. It's just not a good fit for me. But eventually I came across estate planning, and it's a great fit for me because it's solutions based, just like the technology sales and the investment guidance. I get to talk to people, find out what they want to do, and I'm creating solutions that's actually doing that for people. So I kind of found myself in law school and kind of found this career where hey, we can do estate planning to pay the bills, and we still do adoptions to kind of fulfill
Ah,
that side of things.
well,
So yeah, I kind of found myself in law school because I opened my mouth one day.
yeah, you did. So at this point, so take me back there. You're in Colorado, and I'm guessing you said you'd been working 10 plus years. So you're getting into your 30s. Was that right?
Yep.
And then the move back to Sacramento, was that prompted by the desire to go to law school, or was that kind of moving jobs or?
Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't law school. It was just fortuitous that it coincided. Yeah, ended up like I was working for a company and they were going to be moving out of Colorado, and so we were looking at, hey, do we move with the company? And that didn't make sense. Like we're coming back to California all the time to see family or to go to Disneyland, so it just made sense to move back to California.
Okay.
And then that kind of brought the whole adoption and law school stuff back, just more opportunities, kind of fitting those little puzzle pieces together.
Yeah. So you moved back to Sacramento, or had you lived in Sacramento before, or this area?
Had not lived in Sacramento, so I had some family here, but it was a nice place to settle. We didn't want to be too close to family that was like in the Bay Area. I mean, we were used to like 4 states of distance between family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, schools are great. So I mean, we had 4 kids, so we are
Yeah.
kind of that was the priority for us, is making sure they're taken care of. And then it just so happened, there's other stuff around.
So then you get out here. And when I say here, we're both in the same general area. You're practicing in Rocklin, which is
Correct.
a city east of Sacramento, and just getting into law school, meaning learning about it, the LSAT, taking it. I mean, how long of a period was this from like that conversation in Colorado regarding adoption and saying, I should go to law school, to getting in and starting?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, I mean, a good 5 to 7 years before I was actually in law school, just for all the pieces to fall into place.
Man, wow. Good story. So you're in law school, you're with a bunch of 20 somethings, and but doing nights. So I imagine there were probably others that were little older and,
Yeah,
making the
yeah,
same
yeah, a little
change.
bit older demographic. Not a lot of parents. There were a few, so that was an interesting perspective to bring to law school, where had a lot of young kids who thought they knew about kids. and then to get the parents' perspective for what it's really like to have kids.
Yeah. And I have 4 kids too. It usually raises eyebrows anyway, but to be a student with 4 kids, that's something because it's a challenge. You have a
Yeah,
lot going on, and
yeah,
um,
and all those things are going on. Like the kids' lives is still going on, right? So they still have school and soccer and baseball. So my wife is really the saint in the story because she's the one who made sure all that stuff was going on. She even made sure I was taken care of, going to school. So I mean, I remember going to Little League games with like big fat textbooks, and like the coaches and the other parents are kind of making fun of me for like, oh, you're like, what book are you reading today? So yeah,
torts.
it was an experience.
Yeah. Wow. Well, great story. So going into law school, like what you kind of answered this, but I'm interested in a little more on why estate planning. Was it a course? Was it a career fair? Was it someone you met that was in the profession? Like how did it kind of go from adoption to were you already in the family space?
Yeah, I was already in. I mean, I was looking at adoption. That's the only thing in family law that I like. So, like, kind of nothing else works. I was literally going through classes, thinking about what am I going to do. Starting to panic a little bit as I'm going through, all the personal injury stuff and contracts law, finding things I didn't want to do. And
Yeah.
I started wondering, am I ever going to find something? So
Yeah.
I was literally trying out kind of all these different areas of the law as I was going through class and trying to envision what does this look like, in the real world. I mean, not just in a textbook or a case study. And so I think that's where estate planning really resonated with me because I could see myself doing that. It was a very similar process to the technology sales, the investment guidance. I mean, it's all about just talking to people, find out what they want to do. And then you get to put something together that does that for them. And so I made that connection with estate planning to really say, hey, I can help people doing that.
And did you get any work experience before starting your firm? Did you
I did.
intern at an estate planning firm before, or
I
what did
did.
you
Yeah.
do? Like from that, end of law school, deciding to putting up your own shingle.
So I did some internships just during school. I kind of had to. And so I did a little bit around that. Nothing related to estate planning. Not even related to adoptions, to be honest. Just needed some experience to be out there and do some things. So yeah, as far as estate planning, just learned as we go. Put up the shingle and figured out like, hey, what do we need to do to put an estate plan together? And, what are all the steps that we're going to have to go through? And, how do you answer the phone to all the logistics
Wow.
side of it? So yeah, it was more than I contemplated, I guess, because I spend a lot of time running the business rather than being the attorney. So you kind of have to wear a
Yeah.
bunch of hats to do that.
Okay, we'll get more into that. I'm curious. You're ending law school. You're about to graduate. You're starting to study for the bar. Was there a decision to be made on like whether to go back to Colorado, or were you pretty committed and embedded in California? And then going from that to launching the business, did that all happen at the same time you're doing bar studies and test
I
taking?
think all of it kind of just happened slowly over time. I I guess I have the tendency to just kind of jump into things and figure it out as we go. So, but yeah, by the time I was studying for the bar, I think the only option there was to like, hey, I'm gonna have to have a job. I'm gonna have to make money somehow. And so yeah, we were pretty settled on starting a practice, and the kids were settled in the area, so we weren't looking at moving. So yeah, all those things were pretty set in stone. And I thought I might have a little bit more time, like maybe, I'm not, what if I don't pass the bar on the first time? And so I was thinking, yeah, hey, that's okay. I'd have a little bit of time, but just seeing the time commitment for it, even studying for the bar, what was more of a time commitment than law school was. And so my wife basically told me, is like, hey, like I thought you had time, but you don't. So you really need to pass this first time because we need to get on with things and get things started. She couldn't handle that anymore. So a little bit of pressure to keep me focused and make sure I'm studying the right way for the bar. And luckily I passed. I have no idea
Wow.
what the score was, but all that matters is I passed. So
Yes, you did. Yeah. Impressive. And with all the family life going on, and I can understand from her perspective too that, you just been through, was it a 4-year law school journey?
well, yeah, typically law school is 3 years, but
Mhm.
the evening program stretches it out a little bit because you have to stretch out those classes. So it ended up being 4 years in
Yeah.
school, and then I mean a good like 6 to 9 months studying for the bar,
Wow.
waiting to get the results back.
So almost a 5-year journey.
Yeah.
And what a life change going from, being a professional to then a student and father back to, trying to start your own business. So what year now are we talking? When did you pass the bar? When did you start your law office?
Yeah, so passed the bar 2015. So I guess officially started the practice on January 1st of 2016. So
Okay. So you've been in business now 10 years. And do you remember a first client? Do you remember, who that was or what the situation was, and kind of how you got into it? Did you start with like broad services, one service? How did that all go down?
yeah, so I didn't want to do too much. Like there's definitely a lot of things you could do, but I was worried about getting pulled in too many directions. So I was pretty focused on estate planning, slash adoptions. I mean, we're kind of having a couple areas we could pursue. I wanted to get into juvenile law a little bit, just because as I was taking classes, for around adoption, juvenile court came up, and so that was an opportunity to be able to work with kids and do that. Needed a little bit of experience though. So you can't just walk into that straight out of school. So yeah, really first clients, I mean, would be family. I think probably my dad, but was kind of the first client and tried a bunch of things out on him. And I remember going through like actually creating his trust and his estate plan and spending, I think we spent like 3 hours going through the document and I mean just putting him to sleep, right? Like I mean he doesn't care about any of it. And I'm explaining everything in detail. And just kind of taking those lessons and figuring out is like, hey, yeah, I need to refine this a little bit. So it was nice to try it out on family. But then yeah, I mean, just kind of putting ourselves out there and, talking to friends and letting people know that we're out there. And we just finished school, so we didn't have a big budget. So like we weren't doing advertising campaigns or anything.
Mhm.
So a little bit of word of mouth and just kind of talking to people, a lot of faith, because I don't know how we made it through. I don't know how we made it through law school, to be honest. But even after that, for the next few years, I remember, getting a client just in time to be able to make our monthly, rent payment that month to
Wow.
do it. So things kind of fell into place and slowly started to pick up over time. Just as we got a little more experience, a little more contact with people.
Friends and family gave you that initial business experience boost. When did it start phasing from kind of the friends and relatives zone to your first clients off the street?
I mean, it had to move pretty quick because I don't have a big family. So yeah, just to have some income, we were pretty
Mhm.
focused on that right away. I mean, not a whole lot of clients. So spent a lot of time, refining the process or figuring out how are we going to get clients, and kind of trickled in and just has been slowly growing ever since then.
Okay. So, and on that front, maybe looking back over the 10 years, has there been a specific client or a situation that has made the work meaningful?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I like hearing people's stories. So I get to know a little bit about people as we go. So it's nice to share in that with them. I don't know about a specific client that made it all worthwhile, but I mean, definitely like the impression for the types of things that we're doing. I mean, adoptions are great. So I had a professor tell me like it's the only time that everyone's smiling in the courtroom. And it's
Yeah.
true because everyone's happy to be there. There's no one contesting it. There's no one fighting with you. There's not a loser in that case. So that's fun. Just because you're really reaffirming that this family relationship. I mean, it already exists, right? So the parents are already doing the hard work. The kids are doing the hard work already. The court's just recognizing that. So it's fun to be a part of that and just see everyone smile, and be able to take pictures with them and, just be having a good time in the courtroom. So adoptions are fun. On the estate planning side, it's a relief to people. So people worry about this stuff. They worry about what's going to happen to them after they're gone. Especially with their kids. And so we visibly seen people who like their shoulders are up when they come in, and when it's all done, we've seen their shoulders just drop and they're relaxed now. And they have that peace of mind. And it's nice to get the thank yous and like, hey, like we've been thinking about doing this for a long time. And so it's fun to kind of see how we're helping people do that and give them that peace of mind.
Yeah. And I imagine that's the case a lot of the time. It's also, planning for death, can be looked at as an uncomfortable thing. So that tension is probably, you're facing kind of life realities that most of us are either just like happily avoiding, in our day-to-day life. And you're confronting it almost daily. Is there any level of almost therapy when you're talking to clients? Do you find that, this is kind of gets emotional?
Absolutely. It definitely gets emotional. Everyone's different. So, stories and things that happened in their past tend to come up. So, they're remembering parents and grandparents and just what that experience was like and wanting to pass their legacy on to their kids and have it be not a bad experience. And so yeah, we do see a lot of emotions come up, especially when like kids are having to make choices for their parents potentially. So like their, parents are deciding this and saying, who's going to decide? I'm putting my child in that position to have to do these things for me. So it tends to get a little bit emotional for people. I was actually worried about talking about death. How do you talk about it? Do you say die or do you say passed away? And I tend to say passed away. I probably for myself. I kind of had a few clients kind of check me on it and say it's okay to talk about this. Like they're even people who are terminally ill, like they face the reality already. And they're telling me I don't need to dance around it. Like it's okay to talk about it and just because we're preparing for that to happen. It's going to happen to everyone. So I do tell clients, it's like don't use any of the stuff that we're creating for them anytime soon. We don't want them to pass away, but we do want to have just everything all prepared so they don't have to worry about it.
Okay. So estate planning is a category most people don't go looking for till they need it. Do you have a way to get out in front of someone before they realize they need you?
There's a couple ways that we could go about it. So we actually put a lot of thought into how do we want to approach clients. And one way was to scare them, right? So to let them know it's like, oh, you have to do something or bad things are going to happen. And we kind of purposely avoided that. I didn't want to scare people into doing something. I'm more like that problem solver, the solution. So like see the benefit and why you're creating this estate plan. It's going to save your kids time and it's going to save them money. It's going to make it easier. It's going to make it private. So I think getting that word out what was more important to us. To we're a vehicle for people to be prepared. They could probably figure it out themselves, but it's always nice to have a little bit of help and make sure all those what if scenarios that they never even thought of are already going to be taken care of.
If you were starting the practice over today, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently on the marketing side?
I would probably do a little bit more marketing up front. I don't know that I actually would have done that. Just because, I mean, money was a big thing for us. All right. So just coming out of law school and not having any clients that we were bringing to the practice already. So I'm not sure we would have been able to, but throwing more money at that would have made kind of those lean times, like that early time period, a little bit easier. Just, we wouldn't have been worried about clients coming in just because we'd have kind of that already in the works.
Uh-huh.
I think that the big thing for me, what was talking to people. And, talking to, I don't want to say talking to anyone who would hear it because I tend not to do that, right? I didn't go to the Little League games talking about, it was like, hey, do you have an estate plan? But when that opportunity is there, kind of capitalizing on it, there's a lot of people out there who do things to help people. So, there's financial planners and there's, even like the divorce attorneys that are out there. they're trying to help people through a situation, and it kind of has a natural connection to estate planning. So we can kind of come alongside that other professional to be able to help their clients accomplish all of these goals. And so to me, I would probably spend more time there, right? Talking to other professionals,
Mm,
people who do it so they basically we're kind of teaming up to take care of those clients and the referring business over rather than, trying to come up with a jingle to put out there.
yeah. What it has been your go-to lead source since starting?
So not too early on, but fairly early on, we found there's like insurance, like for legal things as well. And so employers will offer this legal insurance to kind of basically pay for the estate planning to happen. So we had to have a little bit of experience before they would even accept us, but then it's like becoming a doctor in that medical network. So we're an attorney that insurance can refer us over to, and so that was a big thing because it kind of brought clients to us, so we didn't have to go out and look for the clients. It is insurance, right? So they don't pay as much as like a normal client coming in. But
Mhm.
it was nice not to have to go and pursue the people, and you make connections, right? So you're gonna talk with that person. They're gonna work with other people who need it. They're gonna have family members who need it, and so we ended up getting referrals from that and just kind of building our network from there.
Okay. And then of the services you provide, what is your bread and butter? What is the service that you're giving the most of?
So giving the most time to is estate planning.
Yeah.
So building the trust, the wills, the power of attorney documents. Still spend some time doing the adoption stuff. There's also like trust administration or probate matters that are still going to come up. People are still going to need that. And we're connected to them in that network. So we do spend time doing that as well. Where we'd like to spend more time is really the adoption side for me and being able to grow that. But we need to have an income. And so that's really the estate planning side.
Yeah. Okay. And do you offer the full suite of estate planning services? Is there something you don't do? Do you have like low dollar service items? Because I would imagine estate planning is the probably more of the higher end service. Tell me more about like the business model.
Yeah, so there's different pieces to an estate plan, and so we're kind of just pulling those tools out that are going to do what someone needs to have happen. So the typical estate plan is going to be all of those things, right? So we're going to have a trust, we're still going to have wills, we're going to have power of attorney documents in case they're incapacitated. So most people are going to fit into that category. There are some situations where you don't need a trust, and so we can always look at hey, maybe we just need a will and power of attorney documents, so we can kind of customize that solution. There's also really complicated plans, for like those multimillionaires and the celebrities and the sports people. We don't do those just because we're a small office. So we don't have a whole lot of resources to throw at things. So yeah, kind of our bread and butter is like the no, I'd say normal families, so like they might have kids, they might have parents that they're taking care of, and they might own a home, maybe a couple homes, they have bank accounts and retirement accounts, nothing crazy, no celebrity status,
Yeah.
and that's really our kind of bread and butter for where we're spending our time. Like
So
we don't get into
middle class families, suburbia, that kind of
yeah.
fitting the Rocklin area where you're based.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Great area. So really the clientele we serve, yeah, is kind of right in that group.
Okay. Have you tried webinars or seminars? There's seems like that tends to be a big lead source for a lot of estate planning attorneys.
I think that's the typical. So as I was looking to build my practice, I was seeing it, basically trying to copy people, right? So see what works and copy that and try and do that. And I saw people doing seminars. I'm not sure why I shied away from it. I don't like talking to people that much. So I think maybe putting myself up on that stage to talk to people wasn't attractive. So maybe I kind of avoided that. But it really have never done seminars. So I haven't even done one seminar in my time, like in the 10 years that we've been doing it. So not the typical kind of approach to it. So we are a little bit different in that, and just looking to make relationships, rather than trying to talk people into it in that seminar scenario.
And do you find now that you're fully established law practice, estate planning firm, that your past clients are coming back for updates, referrals? Like, how much of that is part of your marketing and business?
Yeah, definitely a growing part of our business. So, we struggled for a long time just getting the clients to come in the first place, and now they are coming back, right? They're having kids, or someone passes away. They need to replace a trustee. And so now we are seeing people come back, and so honestly, the struggle for me is the time, because we do want it to be personal. We do want to share those stories and spend the time with people. And I don't know, we're doing such a good job. Lots of people want us to help with that. And so we're running out of time to be able to do that, and really spend the time, because it's great seeing those clients come back and talk with them about that. What's changed and what's new for them. But yeah, just kind of struggling with keeping it personal, and not just being mechanical with it.
Okay, so in your current marketing, you've got a lot of word of mouth going on, referrals, insurance, clients. Are you anywhere else? You have a website, social media, Google Business. Tell me where you can be found digitally.
Yeah, so we're trying to do more of that, right? So in our experience, dealing with a lot of insurance clients, again, they're not paying as much. Like, the insurance company doesn't pay us as much, and so being concerned about the time that we're spending, we want it to be as profitable as possible. And so one of the things we're looking at is, yeah, just expanding our reach. I'm not super technical. I'm not out on social media a whole bunch and posting videos and that sort of thing. But I see the need for that. Lots of people are. And so that's where we need to go out and reach those clients. And so that's a vehicle for us to be able to explore, like, hey, can we get, more of a presence out there on social media? Can we update the website so it's more attractive? It's going to kind of pull people in more, and get them closer to a decision. Because again, time frame, being as efficient as possible. If someone wants an estate plan and they're ready to go, like, hey, click this button and be able to move forward. So that keeps us efficient. It makes our time profitable, but it also allows us to spend the time with those clients and still be personable with them. So we're not, just kind of pushing through people like cattle, just to get through it as fast as possible. So yeah, definitely, always looking for ways to go out there and reach people where they are, where they're spending their time, whether it's online or on their phone. And we all know people are on their phone a lot of times, and probably more time than they should be. So we might as well reach out to them and put ourselves out there and say, hey, we can help solve some of these problems for you.
Okay. And one of the things you said earlier that did not appeal to you in estate planning marketing is fear-based. How do you distinguish from that? What is your general message that is not on the fear side?
Yeah, so it has definitely been a challenge for marketing, because that's the easy way to go, right? Like, let people know, hey, there's this problem, we can solve the problem. So it's more, let's say, a positive approach to it. It's so, helping people realize, it's like, hey, they want to be prepared. Their focus is on taking care of their kids, not being afraid of passing away. And so if we can focus on kind of give them hope there, and let them know, it's like, hey, we're able to help kind of accomplish those dreams rather than avoiding the fears. I think that's our general kind of branding message, because we just want to help people. We just want to help them achieve their dream, not be, running around afraid of everything that's going to happen.
Okay. And your website, you said you just updated it. You are also on social media, Facebook, Instagram,
Right.
and then do you run ads?
We do some. So historically, we've done that. I'm not sure about the effectiveness of it. I'm sure it brings some people in, kind of luck of the draw, right? So if someone sees that ad when they're thinking about it, then it's great. So that's why I think social media is more of a focus today than it has been in the past, because that's where people are spending their time. They're sharing pictures, with their family. They're seeing their kids, and so it's kind of a natural thing. It's, hey, I want to take care of my kids. Hey, I should do that estate plan that I've been thinking about doing for a long time.
And do you feel like the estate planning space is crowded in Rocklin? Do you think there's room for more estate planners? Do you feel like people are shopping when they're coming to you?
There is some element of shopping, right? Like everyone's focus is different, right? So some people want a really good deal, and just look at the money side. How much is it going to cost? Other people want the right fit, and they just want to talk and see, hey, do I like this person? Can I work with this person? I think there's definitely room for it. I know a lot of people say like there's too many attorneys out there. I haven't hit that point, right? So like we're still helping people. I haven't seen that dry up, or we haven't helped everyone, and they're gonna need things later on in the future. So I definitely see room for people to kind of more estate planning attorneys to go out there and just help people get these plans in place.
Have you found that Google search and AI search is part of the lead generation? Do people come from that side?
We have seen that, yeah. So having just those web searches, they find us somehow, and so yeah, having that connection, having maybe a little bit more than just kind of the mom and pop do it yourself kind of approach to it. So it's nice having someone be able to get our name out there and make sure we're coming up on the top of the list. So as AI is generating kind of these answers for people who are asking, that like we want to be mentioned in there. So we want to be, an option for people that's coming out. So I definitely see people searching for, they have this problem, they have this issue, they want to get an estate plan, they don't know where to begin. So I think the natural place is turning to online, whether it's Google or AI, or calling people for a referral. So turning more and more towards the technology side of things.
For someone new, someone in law school, before law, pre-law school, or just getting out, or someone who's been practicing in another area, do you have any general advice on starting in estate planning?
So I would say be brave. So kind of typical what everyone sees lawyers as it isn't really the case when everyone's starting out. So my experience is everyone in law school has a story, just like, mine for adoption, everyone has a reason for being there. And it's not a selfish reason. Usually it's because they want to help someone in that situation. I think in law school, like with loans and everything, it costs a lot of money to do that. So some of that gets washed away. And so kind of the focus gets drawn to like, hey, I need to have a job that pays for my student loans, and I need a car, and I need to build this business. And so that focus gets kind of drawn away from what you're really passionate about. So, I mean, whether you're passionate about estate planning or something else, maybe you're passionate about contracts or, the family law, whatever it is, hang on to that passion so you can keep focused on that and just be brave to take the steps and know, okay, maybe you're not going to make as much money as you were. Maybe you don't know how you're going to make that monthly rent payment next month, but those things tend to fall into place. And so when you follow your passion, people are attracted to that. And so I think that's why we have a lot of clients and they're coming back to us, and how we attracted them in the first place is we actually care about it. So, it's not just a day job to us, so be passionate about what you're doing. And the easiest way to do that is just to work in the area that you're already passionate about.
Love that. Be brave. Good advice. I would almost want to close on that, but I want to ask this of everyone I have on, because it is such a game-changing situation we're all facing, which is we're in the age of AI now. And I can see how it might be affecting consumers, where they can just think, well, I'm going to put it in ChatGPT and just say, make an estate plan for me. And AI is pretty good at putting out content. From that perspective, maybe give a word to a consumer who's looking at using AI, and then also talk a little bit about the attorney side and the law practice side. How can AI benefit you? Where do you see things going?
Yeah. I think AI has a lot of time savings opportunities. So, I mean, putting that into our practice, being able to send letters or not spend so much time editing something that you're going to send out, so, I mean, you can ask it, hey, make me more professional, or, make it more fun. So I see a lot of time saving opportunities there. My concern for like clients, as they're looking at it, like, hey, I don't need an attorney. I'll just use AI to do that. I think AI kind of lumps everyone into a group. So it's kind of taking more an average rather than treating people like an individual. And that's what we've always fought for. Everyone's situation is a little bit different. Their plans might look similar, but there's always a component in there that's different and unique to them. I don't think AI gives you that. I think it's going to take an average and say, hey, this is what most people do. And it might work. But a lot of my time is spent talking about the what ifs. What if this happens? What if this happens over here? And if you're not prepared for those situations, then you're going to get a bad result. And the whole point is you're trying to make it easy for your family if something happens to you. So you don't want to leave them in a situation where you just didn't contemplate that issue. So I don't like AI to create estate plans. I mean, I even remember there was a friend who was just kind of talking at a soccer event that we were at, and they knew I was an attorney. They knew what I did, and they're having this conversation with someone else saying, like, they're not going to go to an attorney to get their estate plan done. They're just going to copy their parents' trust. Like, they basically just change the names in the document. And I was looking at my wife and it's like that's not going to work, right? Because their situation's completely different from yours. So that's what AI is to me. It's just plugging a name in there to a general plan. So I, I like to be more specific. I like to be more personal and just talk with people to make sure their situation is covered, not just 80% of it.
Okay. Very good. Well, Ron, thanks for coming on the show. If people want to learn more or get in touch, you can be found at ronsuggslaw.com. And for listeners, if you found this, or watchers, if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe, share it with another estate planning attorney who should hear it. And again, if you want to improve your own marketing, you can score your website at estateplanningmarketer.com and your brand at don'tbeboringagency.com. We'll see you next week.